Hey guys, we're on the air now live. I'm here tonight, of course, as usual, Thursday Tank Talk. So we're going to hang out tonight and talk a little bit. But tonight we've got a special guest with us. We've got Joseph with JH Aquatics here with us.
What's up, guys? How are you?
We're really happy to have him with us tonight. He's come with us all the way from the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we've got a long distance guest with us tonight. So that's amazing. So let's make sure everybody can hear us and see us and that all that stuff is good. And then we'll kind of get started. So can everybody hear us and see us?
Look good for me. I popped in there for a second. I'm watching the chat, but it sounded good there for a minute. Real Tanks, how are you? I got your shirt coming in. I have not forgotten about you. Just letting you know, I saw him there in the chat. Daryl Dimmer, good friend.
7 or 8 people here in the chat already. We had Petsotics, Diego's here, Arachnid Aquatics, Raccoon Creek Aquatics.
Raccoon Creek, yeah.
Mr. D's is here, Richard's Tanks, Benotsky Tanks, Reels Tanks, as you mentioned, Bob Kaler.
Yeah.
They're rolling in here. Ashley Claire, Lisa.
Ashley Claire, how are you? And Lisa's Aquatics. Yeah, Daryl Dimmer is a good friend. He's a good guy. You know, he's really supportive in the community. And we were roomies at the Aquatic Experience together. We shared a hotel room together. And you know, he's not a content creator on YouTube, but he's very much a supporter of our community, very much part of the Fish Fam. And I really appreciate everything that he does for everyone here in the community.
Oh, I do too. He's always been supportive of me from the very beginning. So I really appreciate that, guys, Daryl, and everybody else that's here. We're beginning to have a lot of people roll in. So we're glad, and everybody can hear and see us. I got word that we're doing fine in that area, so glad to hear it. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to have a few questions, you know, for Joseph, and we'll talk a little bit about what's going on with him and his fish room. And this is all to sort of get to know him a little bit better. But you guys are going to have some questions too. So go ahead and put those in the stream. If you could put at BamAquatics or at JH Aquatics, one or the other, that way we'll see the questions. It just makes it easier. That's something I learned from Diane. So.
Oh, she's always messing with me about my focus.
Focus. I remember that from one of the other streams.
I get it. I know she's on my side. She's like, seriously. If she says seriously, then I believe her. Wait, where are we at? Let me get. This is so goofy, and now I'm messing around with it. That's as good as it's gonna get. If I'm blurry, everybody's gonna have to deal with it. I'm in 1080p at 60 frames per second. That's good enough.
All right, well, there we go. Big City Betas here. Can't stay. Just wanted to pop in and wish us a good stream.
Oh, who's that? Big City Betas? What's up? How are you, Amber?
Well, we're glad to have everybody here. We've got about 18 folks, looks like, in the chat with us. So I kind of wanted to ask first, kind of start at the beginning maybe, and ask you sort of a question or two about how you got started into fish, like way back when. Did you have tanks as a kid? What made you decide you wanted to get into having aquariums in the first place?
Yeah, fish keeping started from a very young age. My father, I blame it all on my father. We were really into saltwater fish tank. My father was into saltwater. You know, we had a combination of saltwater and freshwater. And I think my first fish tank was a 10-gallon or a 20-gallon with some goldfish. Obviously, they didn't work. We were in Arizona. It was a little warm. Wasn't the right fish. Learning experience right there. I think one of my first fish only lasted maybe a month, because it was a goldfish in a warm tank, in a tropical tank, which wasn't right. And, you know, they make a big waste. But yeah, no, but besides that, I mean, my father was really big into saltwater aquariums and some freshwater. I remember at one point in my youth, in my living room, we had a brine shrimp tank just full of brine shrimp, and you know, a whole rack with made out of cinder blocks and plywood, you know, 2x4s, and the whole thing going on in my living room was all my dad's work. And I think what really got me, and I was just thinking about it yesterday, and it just hit me like, you know, one of those memories that like you've always had in your head, and then something just having these. I have some apistogramma wigglers. I have some apistogramma babies in a little container in the other room, hanging off the side of a tank, and of my Pistogramma rubelliniatus, a dwarf cichlid that I was wild caught from Peru. And anyway, so I'm watching these little wigglers, and it just brought back this memory of my youth when my dad had this one little tank with some freshwater fish, and I remember watching them go. They created a little dip in the gravel in one back little corner behind a plant, and they spawned and had little babies. And you know, between them and the other fish in the tank defending it, they all got eaten or whatever. But I just remember at like 6 or 7 years old how amazed I was to see life being created in this little aquarium, to see these two fish actually spawn and have babies, and to see these little microscopic little babies in a little group down in this little crater in the gravel. And I just remember that blowing my mind when I was a little kid. And it just really, I think that was probably one of those defining moments, one of those moments that just really put it in my soul, where it really just hit me, and it got in under my skin. And yeah, just those little babies. Remember watching those little babies.
Yeah, it's still exciting now, even to me, even watching when you bring new life to the your aquarium, when you have the fry that come in, or when you have the eggs, you know, that you get, and then they end up hatching out the little wigglers, and then the free swimmers. It's still exciting, I think.
I think it always, if you're really into this, into the passion, you know, passion for this stuff, you know, it's just like someone just having a thing for a little kitten. You know, it's like you don't get over it. A kitten's a cute kitten, and it always is a cute kitten. But you know what I mean? Like any of those kind of things. But yeah, if you're into this stuff, little baby, little fries, these little microscopic fries, that just hits you. You can't. It's always cool forever. It'll never get old. You know.
Yeah, Ashley said, now you're all grown up and you have your own little wigglers. How about that?
That's the thing too. You know, it's like you. I think it's where you get that into your skin. It's like, I want to do that. When I want to do it on my own, like that. My dad was really kind of running that show, and that when I saw that, but to actually, you know, do it on my own, and yeah, it's fun stuff. It's definitely, it's funny when people talk about it as an addiction, or like multi-tank addiction, or multi-tank syndrome, or whatever. But, you know, playing with with life science, and, breeding and caring for other animals, yeah, it gets under your skin. It kind of gets a little addictive. It's a beautiful thing. You're kind of a little bit, you know, you makes you a little bit more grounded and connected with nature and with the world around you. It's a beautiful thing, I know. And that's why I love seeing young people involved in this, especially in this generation with all the video games and all these cell phones, all these mobile devices and stuff. And you know, if I can, if with my channel I can get just one or two young people to kind of get hooked on aquariums and on you know, life science and microbiology and that kind of stuff, and get them away from their cell phones for a little bit and the video games, I've done my job. You know, that's all I hope for.
Yeah, we just put out that content, you know, and hope that maybe somebody else, you know, especially like you mentioned, young people, get into it and get involved, you know, with the new generation, like you say, with everybody being into so many video games, and you think, well, how's the fish hobby going to be once people our age or whatever get older, and eventually we won't be here anymore. So hopefully we'll have inspired enough younger people that maybe we'll be able to continue the hobby on, and other young people will pick it up and carry it on after we're gone. Because as good as I look and as young as I am, and how long I live, I'm going to go sometime. And so anyway, we'll hopefully some people will pick that up. Yeah, you mentioned the fish you got from Peru. I know that you like sort of the conservation side of the hobby a good bit. So tell us a little bit about those fish that you got from Peru that are sort of getting endangered now.
Yeah, well, I mean, my thing is kind of, it's a combination of conservation and I love just wild caught fish. I guess it's just a different feeling for me when I know that I've got something that's from the wild. in a way, I know that it expects a certain environment, which also brings on the other challenge of like creating a biotope, a natural biotope that's going to recreate their natural environment that they were raised in originally. And, you know, so it kind of puts me in that, it kind of puts me in, gives me that pressure to have to create this environment because I know where they came from. I was there when I collected it. I know what it looked like. I know what the water parameters were and all those goodies. So, yeah, it kind of puts me under that pressure to create that environment for them in an aquarium so that they're happy and so they're happy enough to breed. That's one side of it for me when it comes to wild caught fish. And then the other side is definitely a conservation effort. There is a lot of, obviously, with everything that we do as human beings to pollute nature and destroy habitats. There's a lot of different habitats and a lot of species of fish that are at risk and are or under concern and are or even you know, endangered. So it is definitely something I really have a passion for, is working with fish that are protected or endangered, or you know, they're under concern with different organizations like the Red List and stuff like that. And it's you know, I know that I'm doing something good, and you know, there's some fish that, you know, we want in the hobby, and I know other people that are master breeders and stuff like that. So that, like, if I get something in and I can breed it, I'm going to take my offspring and I'm going to spread that. It's not even about money. It's not a money thing when it comes to when it comes to the fish. You know, like right now I have these Ruba lineatus that I have fry for right now. I got about 30 of them out of this batch. I'm going to get more. The tank went out now, but this 30 is a 29-gallon bow face back here. That's where my Ruba lineatus and Ruba lineatus, Pistogramma Ruba lineatus. I was going to turn the light on for the camera, but anyways, it's out already for the night. But they're in there. But what I would do with those fish is, you know, I'm going to take like a couple of male or females from that group of fry. I'm going to try to breed them or pair them off with other males and females, not the mother. I'm going to try to keep it purebred. And then the rest of the offsprings that are brothers and sisters in the other room, I'm going to share them with, say, Dean Tweedell, which has a group of these Ruba lineatus up outside of Seattle. He has a group. We were there on the same trip collecting these. So I'll share them with him so that we're crossing genetics. We're not like hybridizing or line breeding and you know, inbreeding fish. I want to keep the bloodlines clean for one, and then it just ensures a stronger genetics for the long term. But it makes it possible that down the line these fish could be available for people in the hobby, whether it be on Aquabid or in fish stores and stuff like that. And then people don't have to go out into the wild to take these fish out of the wild. I also have another group of fish that I just got in from Peru. I meant for them to come in with me when I came back from Peru, but there was some things that happened with that shipment, and those fish did not make it. They're very fragile. That's why they're not in the hobby. You will not find them in the fish store because they don't take traveling very well. They don't take being in a bag very well. But I managed to get a group of 20 sent to me. They were caught in Peru by a friend of mine, Michael Barber, and he brought them back in his luggage, and he kept them for about a week, fed them, fattened them up, and then, you know, fasted them for about a day and a half, bagged them up, and sent them to me. I have them in the other room over here. It's a nano blue tetra, Tetocharax tobampetensis, and I plan on it's a nano tetra. I plan on breeding that as well. I don't know how well it will do in the hobby because it is a very fragile fish. It's a nano fish. It doesn't get much more than about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch at all. You know, this is as big as you're going to find one, is about 1 inch from head to tail. But they're pretty cool fish when the light hits them just right. I got a video coming out this week here on them, on the unboxing of them, and but when the light hits them just right, you get this nice iridescent blue flash that just kind of hits you. They're not like a neon tetra. You got that blue all the time, but When the light hits them at a 45-degree angle, they pop, they kind of flash and catch your eye. But they're special. I was kind of fell in love with them when I was in Peru, and
yeah, that's cool. I've got a few like that, like the Lemia tridents that I have, and some of the Achilles that I got from Dan's fish. The light has to hit those guys just right to be able to really to appreciate how beautiful they are. And unfortunately, it doesn't usually pick up on camera very well. So.
Right, I know. I was trying to do this video for the unboxing of these Titocharex, the Nano Blue Tetra, and I'm like waiting. I'm just going through a whole battery on the camera, just like waiting for the light to catch one or two of them just right and get that nice bright blue flash that comes off of them. It's this iridescent. It's almost more of it's iridescent, so it's kind of blue, but it's almost like a rainbow. You get some other colors. Obviously, if you looked up the Nano Blue Tetra or Titocharex tobampetensis on Google, there's some beautiful pictures of them where obviously somebody with the macro lens just really caught them at the right angle, and there's like more than blue. You're gonna have blues, pinks, reds, like the rainbow of colors, kind of like a glass catfish. The glass catfish has that linear line that if the light catches it just right, you get a full rainbow of colors through that linear line.
Yep, that's right. Yeah. Somebody asked, you can bring fish back in your luggage, they say. So have you ever?
Yeah, there's special permits. At least in Peru, there's special permits. I think you can bring about 8 to 12 fish back, and I believe the rule is they all have to be of the same species. But you can bring them back in your luggage, but you're not smuggling them. You're filing for a special permit. Okay. Yeah, a carry-on permit. Yeah.
I don't know. Could you bring? I'm not sure if there's any sort of laws, like as far as like in the States. If you were just in the States and you wanted to go and you were flying, let's say you were in, I don't know, let's say I was in Seattle and I wanted to bring some fish back from there. I don't guess there's any laws really about bringing fish in your luggage just in the United States.
From here to there, from the Virgin Islands to the United States?
Like if I was to get them myself in Alabama and I wanted to bring some back from like Seattle, for instance, I don't think there's any law against that, is there?
No, I think those laws are state to state, but no, I don't think so. I don't think so, unless the fish is a protected, red listed, or is on endangered species under some Endangered Species Act or something. You know, as long as it's not flagged for some other reason, you shouldn't have a problem with it. And half the time, people are really, people in those agencies are really not very educated. And not to put anybody down, but they probably wouldn't know the difference anyways if you had endangered species or not.
No, that's
probably just let it go as a pet from a pet store. You told them, "Oh, I bought this at Petco when I was in Seattle." They're just gonna probably believe you and let you bring it through. Unfortunately, I mean, that's unfortunate. Is the lack of education, especially when it comes to federal agencies, is kind of unfortunate. But yeah, I do have to, even for here, I live in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I've been trying to import some fish, wild caught guppies. I have some of my best videos on my channel are in relation to wild caught guppies from here in the Virgin Islands. And I have to have special permits to actually collect them from the wild and to export them out of here. I have to have special permits with the government. I have to get that approved and get permits in order to do that. So, it's funny too, because there's places like, I think it's Massachusetts even, you can go out and catch a bass, but you can't keep it in an aquarium. There's some states where you can't keep them or breed them. Like if you went out to a lake to go catch like big mouth bass, you could catch the fish with a hook, eat it. You're fine. Kill it and eat it. But if you caught that fish live and put it into an aquarium, it's against the law.
How about that? That's interesting.
And I think that has something to do with the fisheries. I think it's more of there's something a little bit more fishy going on there with the fisheries and stuff, where their DNA, they're breeding those in the laboratory. They're mass producing those fish in a fishery, and then they are stocking that lake with those fish. And I don't know, but I think that has something to do with the DNA and the fact that those fisheries kind of have a patent on that DNA and on those fish. They released them into the lake to be caught and eaten, not to be taken back to an aquarium and possibly be bred and make more babies of something that they created in a laboratory. Kind of, I don't know. I think it's more of a patent kind of thing with the fisheries. But that's just a wild guess on that. It just seems a weird law. But so yeah, there's even stuff in America where you have to be careful what you catch from the wild and put it in an aquarium. You can actually get in trouble.
How about that? Yeah, I've watched several of your where you go out and catch the fish, you know, the wild caught fish, and some of those are just so beautiful and unique. And I'll be happy maybe when you're able to send some to the States, because I'd like to get some myself. So.
Yeah, they're fun. I'm actually trying to line breed them a little bit because there's kind of like this tiger endler tail that I'm catching on a lot of these wild guppies. And I'm kind of interested in, I've been trying to take the ones that have the tiger tail. They're not endlers. As far as I know, these are genetically wild guppies. But a lot of them have this tiger tail, the yellow and black tail, and I've been trying to pull those aside and just heavily cull the rest. Like basically I'm sending those off to friends or re-releasing them back into the wild and keeping the ones with the yellow and black tiger tail. And then I'm going to try to breed kind of, you know, I don't care about trying to create my own strain of fish or something, but kind of, I mean, I'd like to take them and put them aside and create a group, line breed them a little bit to kind of have some characteristics, some, you know, phenotypes. But and then I would probably, if I get enough of them of that same genetic characteristics, I would probably pass those on to some people, you know, and maybe give it a cute little name. But that's honestly not like some dreamy important things to me. What's more important to me is preserving the wild genetics of fish, preserving fish that are endangered in the wild, and preserving those wild genetics, keeping it clean too, not line breeding it, keeping it clean and natural. You know, a lot of people want to bring something in, like I was just talking about, and line breed it, and they're inbreeding it basically with brothers and sisters, cousins and whatever, and back with the mother again, and back with the father and an uncle and whatever, just to kind of get these characteristics. And that's not the best way when you're trying to preserve, in a conservation effort, trying to preserve the genetics of a wild fish. You want to keep that clean, keep it a pure blood, and keep introducing new genetics and not inbreeding it with their brothers, sisters, uncles, cousins, and stuff like that. So that's something I try to stay away from. It seems like it would be something I would do with like guppies or endlers, because I don't know, they're guppies and endlers. But when it comes to, say, my Rubelineatus epistogrammas or angelfish, even like Altum angels from the wild, or anything that I have that I've collected in the wild, I don't want to inbreed it at all. I want to, if I get offspring, I want to make sure that those babies don't breed back with the mother and father, that they breed back with another fish that is not genetically connected, directly connected with that fish, just to keep it really clean and healthy for the future, kind of thing. Thinking about the future of that fish's bloodline, you know. It's not a selfish thing. It's about the fish. That's one of my mottos is the fish come first. the fish come first.
I mean, they have to. I mean, if you don't take care of your fish, no matter what you're trying to do with them, of course, then they're not going to last that long, really. Or they're going to suffer and not going to be healthy. So, so yeah, we all need to do that. Take care of our fish. What made you decide to become a fish tuber? I see you've got your fish tube shirt on there. So what made you decide to become the fish tuber? I mean, you can collect, and you can collect the wild guppies and the wild caught fish and conserve fish. And you still wouldn't have to be on YouTube or fish tube. So what made you decide to kind of go that route?
Community, honestly, the community. I live on an island of 4,500 people, 9 miles by 5 miles long. I am the only fish keeper like me on this island. I'm like the fish doctor. I'm the only one that has these medications. I'm the only one that has, 16 to 18 aquariums running at any given time. So I don't have a community. I don't have anybody to go geek out with, to nerd out with, go to their house and hang out or trade fish with. I don't have a fish club. I don't have anything like that, and I'm not like all depressed about it. I'm a nerd. I have enough going on in my house to keep myself happy, but I definitely still don't have locally a community like most of you do, where you could even just go and visit Susan's house and do a little tour, or you have multiple fish stores within your radius that you could go to and geek out and just go look at fish in a fish store, or whatever, or go to a fish club meeting and buy and sell trade at a fish club meeting. I don't have any of that option. So I first started out with a Facebook page called VI Fish Keepers Club. And it was obviously VI, standing Virgin Island Fish Keeping Club. And I tried to start my own fish keeping club first. This was over 2 years ago. And it didn't go anywhere. But in the process of doing that, my angelfish spawned for the third time in my aquarium. And I went live on Facebook with my cell phone while they were spawning. And I received over 11,000 views of that live stream. It got shared out between other like fish groups and stuff that I wasn't even connected with. I didn't even try. But it blew up. It kind of like was, for me, I've never had anything have that many views that quickly or anything. So for me, it was kind of like, wow, like there's a community here socially on the internet. I've hung out on Facebook, on YouTube in the community a little bit. But when that happened for me, and that live stream just kind of blew up within a matter of an hour, and I had like 12,000 views in an hour of my angelfish spawning against the glass while I was holding the freaking camera for an hour and keeping it steady up against the glass for an hour with my hand. And it kind of opened my eyes and realized that like there's a really big community here and I could have fun with it, and people want to see this stuff. And I had done my time. I've done my time like hanging out and getting information from YouTube. People like Corey and Dustin's Fish Tanks was one of my big favorites. Joey, King of DIY, all these people that people might like. I don't know. Everybody has their own opinion, but we all started watching certain people, maybe not the same ones, but obviously a lot of us went towards the bigger channels, which are very, very, very popular because that's what was being promoted through suggested videos on YouTube. So, Rachel O'Leary, Dustin's Fish Tanks, Joey, King of DIY, Corey. I watched all of them for years and stuff. And I always kind of wanted to have a YouTube channel just because I learned a lot from YouTube over the years, and not just fish keeping, but how to fix this, how to make that, whatever. And I knew at one point, like, I want to make a YouTube channel because I want to give back. Like, I've learned so much from YouTube. I want to kind of give back and do my part and pass it along, be in the next generation of content creator that can kind of like share something, and someone's going to go online and go, how do I do this? How do I do that? Anyways, I knew it had to be about a passion of mine, and obviously YouTube was a passion of mine. So the combination of all those things, that Facebook live stream that happened and all the other things, I was like, I'm doing this. It was like, I think a month after I did that live stream and that spawning happened with those angelfish, I'm like, I'm making a YouTube channel. I'm going for it. And I did. And I knew that if I was going to go for it, I was going to go all the way, not just like start making some videos here and there. I literally made a list. I followed all the rules of all the big content creators, how to get going. I made a list of 100 video ideas. I filmed 10 videos before I ever started uploading. I hustled and went hard in the beginning. I've slowed down. I feel like kind of relaxed a little bit, but in the very beginning, I went super hard, trying to keep up 2 or 3 videos, 4 videos a week, and all that good stuff. But yeah, it's just I needed a community. I stuck here on on this little island in the Virgin Islands, you know, I wanted to be able to share and talk about and learn from other people and share and learn. And YouTube is the great place to do that. And I have to be honest, it's such a positive and uplifting community. Like, I have seen other parts of other communities on YouTube that really dramatic and negative and bring people down. But our fish keeping community here, the fish keeping niche on YouTube's platform, is very positive and very uplifting. And I appreciate all of the positive energy from everyone out there watching right now and everybody that's going to watch this later. Like, we lift each other up and we support each other, and just don't stop doing that. We all need that, because there's some people here that are, you know, there's like, some of my viewers, 11, 12 years old, they've got their first aquarium. They're just starting out. They, you know, they're just putting their first couple of fish in their aquarium, and they need us. They don't need us to say, you're doing it wrong, you're totally messing up. They need us to say, you know what, you should maybe try this, or maybe I can send you this and help you to make it work, or whatever, you know. Like, they need our support. They don't need us to tear them down and be negative to them. I don't know. I'm on my soapbox now. You got to take charge of this stream, but you know, it's a really positive community, and I just pray that all of us here, we just can continue that and be an example to the next generation of other content creators to continue that too, because we're not going to get anywhere beating each other up, tearing each other down. We're only going to get somewhere if we uplift and support each other. That's the only way we're going to, you know, we all win that way.
Very true. Yeah. I found that some of the groups that you have maybe on Facebook or things like that, they're not always like that. You know, like you talk about being supportive and saying, well, hey, you know, they'll come in and say, oh, you shouldn't do that, and they'll start bashing somebody. But as you say, there's a better way to do that, as far as just encourage to say, hey, you might want to try this instead. Or this is the way I do things. You might want to, or this is the way I've heard that would be better, you know, or something like that. But yeah, a lot of times on those, some of those pages on Facebook, I've noticed that, man, people just typing and start typing, and they don't have much mercy. So
no, sometimes it's just a different way of saying it. Like, you can get your point across, but you could say it in more you could say it nicely though. There's a way of wording it, and you're supporting and helping them rather than belittling them verbally or literally.
That's true. We've had a couple of questions come in the stream here for us. Some for you, some for both of us. I think you just answered the one there about what inspired you to start on YouTube. So you've kind of covered that. I guess for me, I don't really know. I guess I was watching some of the other channels, just like you mentioned, like Corey and King of DIY and some of the others. You know, as I decided I wanted to be more into guppies, of course, I watched Michael's Fish Room and, you know, some of those other guys like that. And I just thought, well, hey, this is pretty cool. You know, they're putting out some pretty good content, and I'm learning from them. And so as I go, I can kind of take somebody along the journey with me. And so that's what why I did, just to kind of, you know, when I first came on, I said, well, you know, why would somebody want to do another YouTube channel about fish? And I said, well, you know, I really don't know. But I thought maybe you guys could come along on the journey with me and kind of see what I do and see if I make mistakes or whatever it is that I'm doing, you know, and so we can all learn together. And so that's kind of what I like. I like the community because it's, like you say, it's a great community. And we all learn from each other. When I do these streams, 9 out of 10 times, or really 10 out of 10 times, I learn more from the people in the chat than any of the information I'm going to be giving out usually. We just help each other out. So that's kind of why I'm into it. But somebody asked something about how can you tell that if a fish has been line bred? And that's a question I think they had for you. I mean, I don't think
you can necessarily tell that until it's too late. You know what I mean? Like, until it's too late and you start seeing lots of birth defects and stuff from the offspring maybe or something. But I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know that you can definitely tell that just by looking at a fish specifically. I mean, unless you're doing a DNA test on it, you're not going to necessarily see that. But I mean, just knowing, you know, if you're the breeder, then you know what you're doing. You know that you're breeding a mother with a cousin, or a mother with a son, or, you know, and I think that if you are breeding, you should be, if you're seriously breeding any fish, you kind of need to have enough tanks so that you can separate things and you can keep track of that. I think one really important thing to do is keep a log, to literally write down, keep notes, and keep a log of what you're doing in your fish room. Two big tips I could give anybody is to keep a log, keep records on paper of what you're doing and what's happening in your fish, what's in each of the tanks. I literally will take a magic marker and write it on the side of the tank. It always comes off with rubbing alcohol, and then keep it on paper in a notebook. And just another thing that I learned from other big breeders is regularly clean your fish room. Like once Jasper, chill out. Once a week, just do a little cleanup. Like if you regularly clean up and organize your stuff, because I know I've got a lot of stuff, and like things can start to pile up to the point where like you go to grab something and 4 things fall off the shelf because you went to grab something. Like it can happen really quickly if you're really a nerd, and you know, and you got a lot of stuff and you got more than 1 or 2 fish tanks. You can start to collect a lot of stuff on a shelf and it gets crazy. So no, it's definitely, to me, it's really important to keep a log, organize that stuff, and keep your fish room clean. Like once a week, try to tighten up a little bit. I know that like just the other day, I could tell things were out of hand because I went to go collect some pieces of equipment because I had these Ruber fry, and I wanted to get these fry kind of into their own little tank and get things going. And I realized, you know, you go for 2 or 3 things and things are falling off the shelves and onto the floor, and you realized, I got to clutter here. I got to fix, like, this is not cool. And it's like, no, like this weekend, I'm going to have to go through and just, so I'm not saying I'm good at it. That's a tip, because I know from personal experience that like things can get out of hand real quick. But back to that question, like, I don't think you can really know until it's too late. When you start having lots of birth defects, you don't really know for sure if something's been line bred. But if you're in charge of it, you should definitely be keeping track of what's going on. And if you're really trying to actively breed something properly, you want to have enough tanks to separate everything, to separate the young from the adults, and know that these came from this mother. You're not going to breed them back. You know, but everybody's doing something different. You know, that's my path. Some people want to do that. Like in guppies, especially, people really inbreed guppies a lot, and even endlers. But awesome, honestly, like in a little stream, when it comes to wild guppies, even, or endlers, in a little stream in the wild, they're slightly inbred because they're in a little pool of water, completely isolated from another pool of water 20 feet away, and they inbreed in nature. It's kind of natural, as long as every once in a while you get a little bit more of some new genetics every once in a while.
Right, and that's kind of what I think a lot of people do, or I think some people maybe don't, and you should. I think for sure if you are breeding like that and you are line breeding, which I know that's fairly accepted when you're breeding guppies and things like that,
Yeah.
and just to bring in some new genetics from time to time. Don't simply just let that tank sit and just be inbred. You know, if you're going to do that, I think it's important to at least bring in some new genetics, like you mentioned, from a different line, from somewhere else, to share some, trade some with a buddy that has the same strain or whatever, to sort of help with that a little bit. But I think it's,
yeah, you'll start to see it. You'll start seeing hunchbacks, or you'll start seeing scoliosis where the spine is all bent and twisted. You'll see genetic birth defects, and that's when you know you've gone too far.
Yeah, that's right. And usually, like you say, it's too late then, you know, you're going to have to do something once that happens, for sure.
Unless you already do have multiple tanks and separated. Yeah, it's too late, because you can't go backwards because they're all in one tank or something, you know. Yeah,
that's true. Somebody had a question for me about how I knew my channel was really going to get bigger, and was there one thing, or did it just happen over time? And my channel is not big by any stretch of the imagination. I don't know how many. I haven't been on YouTube that long. I don't know exactly how many subscribers I have, but I have about less than 400 right now. But I just thought it was a slow progression. You know, I've been on since October, so not that long. So I mean, I guess I have grown a little bit quickly, but it wasn't any one thing. I mean, I just try to keep on putting out videos and keep on doing live streams, keep trying to change it up by having great guests like Joseph. And we had One Fish, Two Fish was on here. Liz was on here too. So I try to just bring in new people and just keep the interest going. And I try to do like you did at the beginning, you said, Joseph, I try to stay to a schedule and put out a couple of videos a week and do a live stream a week, you know, try to stay on some sort of a schedule. So I think that mainly was something that, you know, that I think sort of helps people to be able to expect something from you if you put out things on a regular schedule like that. Do you think that helps when you have like a regular schedule, or do you think it's better to kind of surprise people? I don't know. Some people.
I think the regular schedule, consistency in your schedule is very, very helpful. I think it actually does better for the algorithm and for the computer itself, for the Google and the YouTube algorithm itself. I think that's where it's going to play the best on that. But honestly, my best advice is just quality over quantity. And you can look at channels like one of my favorite channels. It's a really good example of this is Tank Tested. Alex, he's a really cool kid. I met him this year for the first time in person, and I have an interview eventually coming up from him. But he does one video a month. But if you go to Tank Tested and you watch his videos are incredible. I mean, obviously he does this for a living. His full-time job is a cinematographer and a videographer professionally for like National Geographic and stuff, but he's only been on YouTube for like less than a year, and I think he's over like 30,000 subscribers or something. But it's because it's quality over quantity, and that's definitely very important, I think. Quality over quantity, but consistency is definitely important to a certain extent, especially if you have a strong viewership that's like, you know, they expect to see you. So like I have my live stream without any change or anything. My live stream is always on Sunday afternoon at 1 or 2 p.m. It's changed because of daylight savings times, but yeah, I try to be consistent about at least that one thing a week. But I still think though that quality over quantity is going to take you a lot farther. You can consistently make 3 videos a week that are just okay, and that's not going to be as good for you. Like if we're talking about content creators out here in this that are watching us and are looking for advice, making 3 okay videos a week is going to be worse for you than making 1 really good video a week. If that makes sense, you know.
It does. That's good advice too, I think.
Yeah.
It's going to be on a schedule, but you know, if you have 2 or 3 coming out a week and you're not able to keep up and you're just throwing stuff out there, then I think probably where you'll lose viewers and lose subscribers.
Well, you don't just lose viewers, but you're going to lose the algorithm. You're going to if you're trying to grow, if you're actually trying to build something, everybody's on this for a different reason. And that's why I have to be careful how I look at it when I try to explain it, because some people are not trying to necessarily grow something on a business level. They're just having fun. They're fish nerds and they want to share with the community, and they're good with that. They don't necessarily are looking for the numbers, or they're not trying to really push. So like there's a difference in what you're looking for. But if you're trying to be if you're really pushing hard to optimize your channel for growth, you want to appease the algorithm. So if you did 3 videos a week that aren't doing very well, you will get like 20 views a video and you've made 3 videos. Whereas if you did 1 video that week and that video got 150 views because people have been waiting all week for something from you, it's better to just have that 1 video that got more views than 3 videos that got 20 views a piece and weren't as good quality. It's going to be better for you when it comes to the algorithm, because the algorithm is going to look at those mathematics and it's going to judge you based on numbers. It doesn't judge you based on whether or not you're charismatic or you are cute or pretty. It's going to base it. You're judged by that algorithm based on mathematics and analytics. And if it sees that you made 3 videos a week and they only got 20 views a piece, you're going to come behind the channel that made 1 video that got 150 views for that 1 video they put out a week. They're going to get suggested and suggested videos, and they're going to get shown in Google search or in YouTube search before you. So I mean, if that makes any sense, that's just it depends on what you're looking for on YouTube. You know, I think there's a lot of people that I know on the platform that are not trying to create a business. They're just having fun and they're sharing with their community. And in that respect, it's like, do what makes you happy. You don't do what I'm saying necessarily. Like if you're just trying to share with your friends and you're not looking for the numbers, if you're do what makes you happy. And that's the thing, the key about all this too, is follow your dreams and follow your passions, follow your heart, and do what you love. And that's more important, you know, than the numbers.
That's for sure. Just having fun. You know, if you don't have fun doing this, then I end up doing this. I mean, I guess if you're just trying to make a business, then I suppose that's one thing too. But most of us here, I think, even the ones that want to have a business and that want something to grow, I think still have fun doing this. And I think it shows with those people that are like that, and those people that aren't like that, you know, probably wouldn't stay around very long. So, yeah. So what is a good question? Rack had a really good question. What, in your opinion, is a good video? You know, quote in quotes there.
I think number one, and this is part of like the platform, I'm not speaking for YouTube at all here, but education, to me, that comes number one. And then audio. I'll be completely honest. Like for me, this is my personal opinion. If you're asking me my personal opinion, number one, the most important thing to me as a nerd, when I go to YouTube, I go to learn. I don't go to YouTube so much for entertainment. I do like to watch my live stand-up. I'll be honest, I like stand-up comedy. So when it comes to entertainment, I'll go there for stand-up comedy or something like that. But the majority of what I go to YouTube for is education. So, and I think that's what YouTube as a platform, as a business, they want to be that. They want to be educational content. They want to promote and they enjoy educational content. The algorithm, the company itself and all that. But for me personally, I go for a piece of video that teaches you something that is truly educational, not boring, that just, you know, makes it hard for you to stay there, not long-winded and drawn out like me, but educational. And then honestly, I think over video quality, like you could film it on your phone, no big deal. But instead of dealing with this audio here, plug in a lavalier mic and clip it onto your shirt so your audio is good. Audio is number two to me, because someone will watch a video that is grainy or is even shaky. If they're learning something, they're going to stay there, but they're not going to learn anything if they can't hear what you're saying. And if it sounds horrible and it's annoying to your ear, people are going to just click away. Like it's going to annoy them and it's going to irritate them. You know, they're going to turn away. So I feel like a video full of information, just soaked with information, not drawn out, easy to consume, and good audio it's much more important than good video.
Those are great tips, Rack. Yeah. Great tips. So I agree 100%. Yeah, if you can't hear, then you can't watch, and that's one thing that I have considered, and gonna get one of those lavalier mics, because they're not really that expensive, and you can improve a lot.
Or even, and you know, this is the original Rode mic. It runs for about $120. It's the original Rode mic. It's huge. I mean, if I put this on this camera, I mean, that's just the body, no lens, but yeah, the mic is huge. It's the original Rode mic. don't get this unless you have nothing, you can't afford anything else. I think it actually nowadays you can even get the smaller one, which is there's the what is it called? There's two other Rode mics now, and the one is about this long, like that much shorter, and then there's the Rode Mic Mini, which is like really kind of small. It's almost like it's got a little insulator, and then it's just like a little ball on top of it. I would recommend the Rode Mic Mini or the one that's the new Rode Mic Pro, but not the original, which is what I have. I literally have to be careful or it'll end up in the shot. I'll end up seeing it up in the top right-hand corner of my shot through the lens. I have to turn it in an angle so that I don't catch it in the shot. But I bought that at a whim. I couldn't afford anything else at the time, and it was better than not having good audio. I prefer to use this mic on a boom when I'm filming in my studio here in the fish room and stuff. I'll put this on a boom and kind of get it closer to me, but out of the shot so that I can get some good audio.
Your Leah said you could poke somebody's eye out with that thing.
Yeah. It's almost an antique now. It's been on the market for about 3 or 4 years now. But if you're looking for a deal, it's a good deal on. Whoa, you guys, chill out. Cat and the dog are deciding to play chase in the house. But if you're looking for a good deal, it does work. It works for a studio mic because if you're in a studio, you're not going to have to deal with it mounted to the camera. It'll be on a boom. It'll be in the room. It'll be closer to you, but out of the shot. Definitely works for that. But if you're trying to vlog and you're on the move, doing an LFS tour or something like that, or even in my fish room sometimes, if I wanted to film with this, I want to get up to the tank and film, and it will hit the tank glass. It kind of forces me to be about 5 or 6 inches off of the tank. So I'm kind of over that. I like that mic. Like I said, I still use it, but I'm ready for something smaller. But either way, good audio is definitely so very, 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 very important. When it comes to the video itself, it is number 2 to the story, to the content, the education, and kind of like sharing a story. A lot of people just want to put out content. If you just put out a piece of content that's just dry and boring, it's going to be dry and boring. But if you can kind of wrap that information and that knowledge around a story, it kind of makes people want to listen and watch it to the end. It makes a big difference. And I think that's the big difference too. A lot of people will just want to turn on the camera and make a video. And I never do that. Since the very beginning, I have a notebook. I make all my notes. I put everything into a notebook. I don't write scripts, but I do bullet points. I always do bullet points. And just make a list of information and kind of plan it out. And I tell you what, that goes really, really far. Planning things out, writing it on paper and planning it out ahead of time before you turn on that camera and hit record, because you're going to waste a lot more SD card that way, and frustrate yourself too. I've been there too, where I've tried to film something and I just get really frustrated because I realize I didn't plan this. I just turned the camera on. And that's why I'm frustrated. If I would have written this down, made some bullet points, planned this piece of video out, I wouldn't be frustrated right now. So organize. Yeah.
In the end, I think it probably saves time too, because you plan it out instead of having to go back and you don't know what you're going to say, what you're going to talk about next, and have to sort of go back and edit a lot more or have to shoot more video to get what you need too.
You find yourself going through a bunch of garbage. You're like, all right, where's the good? And usually the good take is always at the end. That's one thing that you can kind of remember. Usually the good take is the last take at the end of the run.
That's right. I had a few notes tonight. Mine is not like bullet points. Mine's like scribbles. But I had some scribbles for what we were going to do tonight. But Kendall has asked a couple of times here, and I kind of missed this question earlier. We'll get to that and probably wrap it up. I know Jeff Rowe is going to be coming on here in a few minutes, and we'll start losing viewers pretty quick once he goes live here.
Oh well, we also had we had a couple other channels on at the same time before us too. At the same time when I can't think of who it was right now, but so yeah, it's a busy night. It's all good though.
He wanted to ask about how often you get out to go collecting, and are most of the fish that you have ones you collected, or are they some that you order from online or get from other sources and things like that?
6 species that I have here in possession right now. These animals, I think they're trying to kill each other in the other room. 6 of the species that I have right now are wild caught. That's definitely the direction that I'm going in. That's really where my passion lies. So I have 5 species from Peru. I have the Rubalineatus. It says Pistogramma Rubalineatus, dwarf cichlid, wild caught from Peru. I have a Corridora CW109 for Peru. I have the Bumblebee cat, which is also wild caught from Peru. And then I have the I have what's known as the Imperial Tetra, which I can't see. I got a window in the way, but I'm trying to see where oh, what did I do? Nope. Let's go. Okay. Playing with my computer. So in this tank here, I have the it's a Nigrocinctus. Nigrocinctus. It's a Imperial Tetra. It has a black lateral line with a little bit of a gold line across right on top of that black lateral line. It's kind of like the Royal Tetra, but a lot more distinct lateral line. The Imperial Tetra, or the Black Belt Tetra. That's also wild caught from Peru. And then I have the Nano Blue Tetra, the Titiocharax, which I just got in about a week ago from Peru. That's in the other room. And then I have my wild guppies. And then I also do have, in the other room right now, I have some wild invertebrates. Nope, that's not going to happen. Come here. No, sir.
Yeah.
Daddy's alive. Daddy's alive. You're not. No. Leave the kitty alone. Anyways, 1 second. Let me go. 1 second. Come here.
Well, he's got to deal with his little animal problem.
All right, I got to separate them.
Someone had to go and be saved by the bell. I guess somebody's in timeout, or maybe you're just the savior, saving the kitty.
She instigates it. She instigates it. She's not scared of him at all. They're having fun. They're playing. He's just barking at her. They're playing and chasing each other through the house. But I'll save her from herself because I don't want to hear it right now. But yeah, most of my fish are wild caught. There's that, and then the wild guppies, and then I have some invertebrates, some like what's known as like a ghost shrimp. I have some of those in the other room, but I've been kind of starting to try to see if I can breed them in captivity. But there's other fish here that I'm trying to do a biotope tank of local fish. This tank right here that's a paludarium. So you see the water line is halfway. This is all immersed growth. All these plants are immersed aquatic plants, like hydrocotyl Japanese. I also have some Sturgeon ripens in there. That's and some Hygrophila angustifolia and some different dwarf hair grasses and stuff that are all immersed above the water line. And then in this tank, I have my local wild guppies in there, a colony of those that haven't touched that colony and changed. I haven't like culled it or anything. That colony's been in there for over a year and a half, and they've sustained themselves in there. I haven't added any fish to them or taken any out for over a year and a half. But yeah, but I'm definitely looking on to some other stuff. I've been looking at Thailand. Within the next 12 months, I look forward to going to Thailand to collect wild betta fish. That's another thing I've kind of been really intensely researching and involved in is wild betta fish out of Thailand and Indonesia and stuff like that. Vietnam, and stuff like that. You guys might know the Shrimp King, Chris Lukaup from Germany. He's been inviting me on a couple of trips. He's invited me to go with him to Papua New Guinea and Brazil. And so I've been interested. I've been entertaining those ideas. I might go to Papua New Guinea with him or go to Brazil. Not so much to collect from the wild, but I like, more than anything, I love to observe the environments and the biotopes, so that people can actually see where these fish really come from and what it should really look like. Because it's one thing to make like an aquascape tank like this one down here. It's all pretty and green, but I'll tell you, from what I've seen in the wild, that's not what it looks like. You know, you're probably not, for the most part, you're not going to see a lot of plants. For the most part, it's going to be black water, a lot of leaf litter, you know, lots of tannins. All right, cat. The cat's trying to eat me now.
Yeah, I saw your blackwater tank, and I imagine I've seen some of the videos, of course, where you're catching the fish, and of course, it's lots of debris and all in the water there. They don't have these crystal clear tanks with the nice green plants and all that kind of stuff. It's just a natural aquarium. You know, that's what Otter Creek just said there, like a natural aquarium. So.
Well, yeah, and that's, I mean, really in the wild, especially a lot of these fish that we are keeping, all of us that we're keeping as tropical fish in our aquariums, many of the biotopes, are what they would find themselves in the wild, they really almost need that leaf litter. They need those tannins to create the proper infusoria and microorganisms, especially things like tetra. You know, if you want tetra fry, if you want to breed tetra, you need to create infusoria. You need to have a tank full of leaf litter for those eggs to hatch in, because the first foods for those tetras, those fry, they're so microscopic. They need to eat microscopic organisms that are eating the leaf litter first. Like, that's just, to me, that's where way it's supposed to be. Every one of my tanks have leaf litter in it. Even this little aquascape tank back here, you see back in the back, there's some leaf litter in the back. That tank's got leaf litter in it. That tank's a shrimp tank full of leaf litter. I put almond leaves and mango leaves and West Indian bay leaf in pretty much all of my aquariums, just because that's what if they were in the wild, that would be there. Like, the plants are there for filtration. The leaves are there to help balance the environment, create, you know, give food for the infusoria and the microorganisms that you want there to create a balanced ecosystem. Part of the nitrogen cycle, as far as I'm concerned. I feel like if you're trying to cycle a tank, you should throw some leaves in there too. You know, like that's going to help you cycle a tank. If it's a new tank, you throw a couple of almond leaves in there and things like that, because if you want to create those microorganisms, you got to give them something to eat. So throw a couple of dried leaves in there, and now they have some food, and you start getting some different things. I do have up here on the shelf, that's my view. I don't know how to point backwards and upside down over here. Anyways, that's my microscope there. It's in a you know, protected deal, but right there next to that tank is it's a $700 microscope with a digital camera that's mounted to the top of it, and it's an oil immersion microscope. So I use that for fun, and I use it with my fish when it comes to, and you know, looking for worms and bacteria and intestinal parasites and stuff in their feces and stuff like that. But I need to make more videos on that stuff, but we'll get there.
A lot of different things you've talked about that I'd like to learn more about. And so that's some great video ideas for you. You need to go back and write some of these things down and make some videos on that, because we can learn a lot from some of these if you expound some of these topics that more than you can do in about an hour's time. So
right. So you have guppies right above your head on both sides there. Right. What is your, like, what's your favorite fish that you have in your fish room right now?
probably the ones I just got, which were the blue Hawaiian Moscows that I got there from
Okay.
Luke Roebuck line. Guppy people know Luke Roebuck and these blue Hawaiian guppies. I was able
Yep.
to get some of those, so that's probably my favorite ones. I've just got them started. They just got started, so I don't know how they're going to do yet. Hopefully they'll do great, but so that's probably my favorite fish right now.
So you have microworms for you were telling me that you have microworms for live food right now?
I do just started cultures on those.
And you have you have the same hatchery that I have for brine shrimp though too, right? You have that as well.
Hatchery, but then I started using like the what is it, San Francisco Bay Company, just a little thing that you put the 2-liter bottle on, and you can make a few more at a time that way. Because I like to just feed all the tanks brine shrimp from at least once a week.
Yeah, it's a nice supplement. I mean, it's a good source of protein. I always try to mix that up because the worms tend to have a little bit higher in fat content. And I've been told by a few friends of mine that are breeders that even if you're feeding them a protein diet or a fat diet, one or the other, if you're just feeding them one thing, you can kind of start to create a fatty liver. But definitely, if you fed too many worms, the worms will actually, you start to get a fatty liver. So it's definitely important, just like humans, to just give them a varied diet, which is what I try to do, and not too many worms. The worms seem to be easy, and I've had to watch myself. And I try to keep the worms down to like maybe twice a week. Go with the worms, even though I have banana worms, Walter worms, and micro worms right now, which are all really close. Unless you look at them under a microscope, they're about the same size, but they are microscopically a little bit different in size. So when you're feeding fry, you start with the banana worms, which are probably the smallest. And then you work on the Walter worms, which are a little bit bigger than that, and then the micro worms are the biggest out of the three. And then of course Grindle worms, I like Grindle worms. Those are really fatty, and everybody those are big worms. Everybody can eat those.
Okay.
But
yep. I guess we'll kind of start wrapping it up. It's about 8:10. We usually do about an hour. I'll try to turn you off. I've been enjoying talking with you, and I know everybody else has too. The next couple of weeks, guys, coming up on the 13th, next Thursday, I'm going to have Susie with Q Aquatics. She's going to be here with me. That's going to be a lot of fun. I have watched her and just laugh at her the way she just goes through and has a great personality. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on the 20th, Rack with River Life is going to be with me on the 20th.
Nice.
So after that, the 27th, and then on the 3rd, haven't gotten those scheduled yet, but I'm going to be working on that for that. So we really have enjoyed having you here, Joseph. I really appreciate you agreeing to come on.
Yeah, that's awesome. You're going to have Rack on there. He's one of my favorite people. I love his personality. I love his positive energy. He's a good guy. He's been doing a lot for the fish keeping community lately, being involved with the green Team Green Alliance and whatnot and that kind of stuff. He's a good guy. I've met him more than once in person, and I know I'll see him again in person just because. But it's I'm almost jealous because out of all the people, there's a lot of fish keeping content creators and fish nerds and breeders that I've wanted to do a little interview and a live stream with, and he's on the top of my list. I know that I've procrastinated in making that happen. I'm kind of jealous. You're gonna have him on before I do.
Well, and somebody else mentioned too. One thing I want to say is that you have been awesome to go out of your way to be on and to encourage and to do things like this with creators that don't have as many subscribers, whole lot less than you have, and that's awesome of you to do that. So I want to thank you, and I know the people here want to thank you as well. But you've been a great encouragement to me and to a lot of people as far as reaching out and being willing to help other people and go on and do these kind of streams. So
I always say that there's no, I'm not the first one I didn't coin this phrase, but I definitely preach it and I believe it. There's no small creator, you know. We're all artists. It's just like you can't judge an artist. We're all here doing what we do because we love it and we have a passion for it, and we're artists. That's how I look at us. And we're passionate individuals that we're sharing what we love because we love it so much and we're so passionate about it. And you can't grade that, judge it, put a you know, a number on that. So there's no small creator ever. We're all equal as artists and as passionate individuals, and that's just how I've always looked at it, and that's what I believe. So I you know, the numbers mean nothing. We're all like a family, we're all a community, and we're here, like you're saying before, we work together, we share, we're educating each other, teaching and learning from each other, and I just pray that we all just keep it positive, you know. There's a right way to there's a right way to go about things and a wrong way to go about things, and I think we're all instinctually, we know better what's the right way to communicate with people, and for the most part, and you know how the right way to go about things, and I think we do a really good job of this community. I don't know, I'm very grateful and very happy to be part of this community on YouTube. I mean that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks again for being here with us, Joseph, and we appreciate everybody for joining us. If you're watching this again on replay, I appreciate you for doing that. So I think that is going to be the end. We'll call it a wrap. So thanks again for being here. And yeah, if we had some inspirational music, that'd be awesome.
Amber.
We needed some inspiration. We don't have any. So
Yeah.
we're just going to call it tonight, I guess, and we're going to shut her down. And everybody can head on over if you want to go see Jeff Rowe. And I think Jace,
There we go.
JC Aquatics will be on here a little later. So we're going to, we appreciate it, Joseph, and we'll be seeing you guys next week on Thursday.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Everybody have a great night.
Done.